Testing, testing. This one should be going through the camera. Did you type it's good? This one should be going through the camera. Okay. And did you type it's good?
Okay, you don't need to hear that.
I'm coming back on.
Okay.
Save. Okay, testing, testing.
Cannot see you or hear you.
All right, well, let's put me back on Brio. I'm coming back on. Save. Okay, testing, testing. All right, it says now we're going to. I'm just going to go to the camera because we know that works. It's not giving me the crisp sound I want. You saw the peace sign?
Yeah, but I didn't hear you.
But you didn't hear me. Okay, well, that didn't work out. Let's see how the camera works out. Okay. You saw the peace sign? Yep. So the camera's working. Sorry about that, everybody. We had people come on and jump off. They must have thought we weren't doing well. The problem is my little one has been singing songs in the beginning, and I wanted to try to find a way where he could have Go ahead and just close out on that so we don't get feedback. I wanted to find a way where his voice could be louder because my voice is really loud right in front of this camera. I also have some other mics that we can try later. I have different kinds of mics, but right now I don't want to keep buying new mics. I want the mics to work the way they do the first or second time I use them. So if you've got some experience in that, you can let me know. But for now, I guess we'll just see who this is over here. Is this the Ultra Nene?
Ultra Nene.
Okay.
Ultra Nene.
Well, you don't have to like push me aside on my own show.
What's my show? What is my show?
Not yet, it's not.
It's my show.
You know what? I can't wait until the day
It's my show.
I can't wait until the day when you are the person who runs my show and your brother is my pastor.
It's my show, right? It's my show, right?
Well, you better do something then.
Okay, I'm the teacher now.
Oh, okay. All right. What you got?
Do not go into debt. If you go into debt, work as hard as you can to pay off the money.
You have to let them see me. It's my show.
No, it's my show. It's my show. No, see, it says Wildcard with Gabriel. Cubby Target. See, it says it. It says it.
I thought it says Ultra Cubby. I thought that was your new channel name.
Nope.
Ultra Cubby.
It says Ultra Nene.
Oh, Ultra
It says
Nene. So we have to change that.
Wildcard with Ultra Nene.
I don't know about your reading comprehension. That says Wildcard with JJ Conway.
Nope.
All right,
says
if you're going to do
Ultra
something,
Nene.
do it. Otherwise, let's go. Because I'm already 7 minutes into what was supposed to be a really short broadcast tonight.
Should I do this?
Sure. You want to do the song? You do whatever you want to do.
Have a good day in every single way.
Sing so the camera can hear you.
Sun is shining down on me. Birds are singing birds. I'm about to have a good day. Good day. Okay, we lost all the followers. Okay.
Well, it's okay, honey. They heard that song before, but they didn't realize you messed up a line because they're all old like me and they didn't know what the line actually was. So you can sing a different song. You can sing a different song.
Lord, I need you now more than
You already did that one. Yeah. Put my heart back together. I searched the world. I searched the world forever. Isn't that? Didn't we do the first
Okay,
time?
now I understand why you say you can't sing, Mama.
Stop.
Would you put my heart back together?
Together.
I searched all to my ears just to find out your ways better. Try to say that.
But we
Try to sing
already did
Try
that
to
song.
sing that.
Do
Try to
something
sing
else.
that.
This is not a
Try
singing
to sing
show.
that.
This is not a singing show.
Yes, it is.
This is Mommy's Talk on Finance.
No, it literally says Wildcard with Nene.
It does not.
Yeah, it does.
All right, you and your gaslighting self can go to bed. All right.
Nope. I'm
All
not
right.
going to bed.
You have a new song? Hey, why don't you try out Proud to Be an American?
If tomorrow all the things are gone and
That I'd worked for all my life.
and I'd had to start again with just my children and my wife. Thank my lucky stars to be living here today, 'cause the flag still stands for freedom. And wait, am I singing it right? And they can't take that away. And I'm proud to be an American, or at least I know I'm free. And I won't forget the men who died, who gave that right to me. And I'd gladly stand up next to you and defend her still today. 'Cause there ain't no doubt I love this land. God bless the USA. I don't know how to start. Oh, wait. From the hills of Minnesota. Wait, no. From the lakes of Minnesota to the hills of Tennessee, across the plains of Texas, from sea to shining sea, from Detroit down to Houston, and New York to LA, where there's pride in every American heart, and it's time to stand and say that I'm proud to be an American, well, at least I know I'm free, and I won't forget the men who died, who gave that right to me, and I gladly stand up next to you and defend her still today. 'Cause there ain't no doubt I love this land. God bless it. Hang on. God bless the USA. And I'm proud to be an American, where at least I know I'm free. And I won't forget the men who died, who gave that right to me. And I'll gladly stand up next to you and defend her still today. 'Cause there ain't no doubt I love this land. God bless the USA. Okay, I'm done.
All right, bye.
I can't leave yet.
You can't leave yet. I think you're just about ready for Veterans Day. Oh, you have something for us today. Okay, let's hear it.
I don't know if y'all remember last week, but we did a set of football cards. Look at this guy.
You look so cool.
This is gonna be another one. This one says 32. Wins are built on endless little efforts.
Ooh.
That means if you do all the little things, the big things will happen. If you don't do the little things, you can't do the big things. That's basically what our cards tells us.
I like
And
it.
it's good advice.
It's very good advice.
Oh, wait,
It'll show up right to them on the screen. It should anyway. Here, you can check it on the phone while you go lay down.
It's blurry.
We'll pull it back some.
I don't know if that's backward or something.
Now see, it comes right on the screen. See? It comes out right on the screen. Okay. All right, say goodnight. That's too much. That's too much. That's too much. All right, say goodnight.
Okay. Good night, guys.
All right. Good night.
Oh, I gotta go back to my basement. Peace out.
All right, everybody. Thank you for hearing me. You know, they say train up a child in the way he should go, and when he's old, he shall not depart from it. And as you might have noticed, it's kind of hard to hear on this camera, but my little one does have a talent for singing and acting and science and math and football and baseball and basketball and soccer and all the things. And I'm trying to encourage him in those things that he can use for the Lord. And so we have a Veterans Day special thing that he's doing, and so we're trying to get him ready on his song. And so I think he was shocked that Mom let him do a secular song, but it's a patriotic song, so it's like the national anthem, or America the Beautiful, or the service songs for those of us who were in the military. You kind of make some exceptions for things like that. All right, I need to figure out how to get myself centered again, because when we make the shorts, I have to be centered. Okay. But I don't feel like the camera is centered. I don't know what I just did here. Let me just move this a little bit, maybe. Okay. Oh, that's not good. Okay. Well, I don't want a line growing up on the top of my head. I guess we need to go back to having backgrounds or something. Anyway, today is a wild card, and I almost canceled today's session because I was supposed to have a guest, and clearly it's just me and the Ultranate. So for me, the guest did not come. The guest had something else going on, and I just kind of felt like, all right, well, I could cancel, but we were just starting to build up steam again. We were really just trying to get the business back together, following a lot of the um, medical challenges and travel and all the things, just all the things that go into keeping you from doing what you want to do. And so I didn't want to lose momentum, so here we are. And so I'm going to talk about a couple things, and then I have basically spammed my entire mailing list, knowing that most of my people who are watching me this late, especially the ones on the East Coast, have already taken off their lashes and their hair, and the folks on the West Coast are still getting off work and getting dinner ready, so they're not going to be able to jump in. But I thought, I will just spam it out there. If there's anybody who's got a business that wants to come on and talk about their business or their nonprofit or their church or their personal growth development, anything that you want to come on and talk about. If you want to ask me a question about your business, you can drop it in the chat, or you can come on. I'm actually going to put the invite link on in the comments so that you can jump in if you want to. And we'll see where tonight goes. If it doesn't go anywhere else, then I'm going to talk to you about a couple things. I'm going to talk to you about the book signing that I went to Tuesday for Microsoft's Oculus book. This is the story of women who powered Microsoft's $1 trillion shift. And so in this wonderful, some of my swag there. In this wonderful, let me see how we can do this here. In this wonderful book, we had most of the authors came and signed their page. It was so much, and not authors, most of the women featured came in and signed their pages. And it was really just so much fun to celebrate these women who were firsts in their field, or they were firsts in this or that and the other, or they just, I'm stumbling over my words. I think I'm stumbling over my words a little bit because I am a little unsettled that I was kind of like going to turn this over to a guest. And I honestly did not have anything prepared to talk about today. So I'm like, I want to bring content, but it's got to be good content, right? But it really was neat to go out to Seattle and celebrate with these ladies the launch of this book. And one of the cool things about this book is that it's funding this whole book launch effort has already funded, I believe, 600 Microsoft AI certifications. And the goal is to get to 1,000 Microsoft AI certifications. So hopefully I've got the QR code here. Now, if you're watching me on a phone, this isn't really going to work, I don't think. But if you're watching me on a computer, you can use your phone to go out to this QR code and support the effort with either a donation or buying the book itself or sharing the book with those in your team. And you are going to see this book and you're going to see these ladies again, because these ladies, many of them who signed the book have agreed to come in and be part of my Women's History Month celebration. So we're going to be doing those recordings pretty soon, hopefully. Okay, so I did want to share that with you. A lot of times I say we. Okay, so I made a little piece of history. Those of you who don't know about it, you can go search my YouTube channel and my About Us page and all that stuff, and you can learn a little bit about the things I did or didn't do, but about the things that I did, the history that I made. And one thing that I liked about meeting so many of the women who were featured in this book is a lot of us weren't really setting out to make history, like I think when I went to the Air Force Academy, I thought I was going to make the history as the first woman president. And then after a few years at the Academy, I realized I was not cut out to be presidential material. In fact, I'm not even sure, I wasn't even sure I was cut out to be officer material, to be honest with you. But apparently, after 23 years of active service plus 4 years of the Air Force Academy, I must have done something all right. I was just trying to do my job and do it well. We say it like that. I was trying to do my job and do it well. And so that's one of the themes that I noticed with these ladies is that, a lot of them weren't trying to blaze trails specifically. Now they may have been trying to prove that women could do anything a man could do, and they may have been trying to prove that women deserved a seat at the coding table, at the tech table, at the AI table. However, it wasn't one of these, I'm going to go make history. And so I'm very, very excited about this. Again, if you are interested in the Opulus book, if you are interested in winning one of the AI scholarships, if you are interested in supporting some of the AI scholarships, because we're still short of the 1,000 scholarship goal, go ahead and go out to womenincloud.com, or you can use the QR code. See if we can get that to focus there. You can use the QR code, and it's not cooperating the way I want it to. Hopefully your phone can still scan that though. If I put it in just the right spot. Okay, but womenincloud.com. Okay, so that's Opulus. Fantastic celebration. I'm so glad that I went. Okay. Let's see. Where is the other? There's 2 other books I wanted to talk about if we didn't get anybody else in here. Okay. All right. This one you have heard about. I'm sure you have heard about Live Life Rich. This is not written by me. I wish I had come up with this book, because as I told her in her book club mastermind, I find the way that she writes about money to be so much easier to understand than the way that I write about money. In fact, I was thinking about all my books and I'm like, I should rewrite those things. They'd probably sell a lot better if I did. But we have Live Life Rich by Marissa Nielsen. And we are going to, you may have heard about this about 2 months ago. We are going to be doing a book study mastermind on this book. So that means that a group of us are going to get together every week to talk about the chapters in this book and apply them to our lives. You will notice that she teaches a lot of the same stuff I teach. Okay. Now, I might go deeper into investing in real estate, but the principles here will work. And she'll go deeper into not investing. She goes way deeper in insurance and other things like that than I normally do. So I love the balance, right? And so I think you're going to get a lot out of this. And I have been participating with her in a mastermind that she's been doing for those who bought a group of books. And so when we do launch this, I'm not quite sure when we're going to launch it. I was looking at the first of the year, but everybody's got something new going on the first of the year. So I'm thinking about using it as part of our resolution reset this year. Now, for those of you who are new to me in my body of work, we always do a resolution reset because, and I'm not the one who came up with that term, but I did get permission from the person who did to use her copyrighted term. All right. So don't you go using that term without getting permission, but she'll probably give it to you if you need it. Oop, this is the wrong book. Well, there's another book that we're going to be studying next year in 2026. I guess because I guess he got mixed in there. This is Chris Robinson, amazing individual, but he is not who I'm trying to talk about right now. We'll talk about him at some other time. But who I was trying to talk about right now is Marissa's book, The First 5 People to Sign Up for This Mastermind are going to get this book mailed directly to their door. All right. So it's going to be a really good mastermind, and I think you're going to enjoy it. Okay. The next thing I want to talk to you about is last week's Empowered Entrepreneur. We were introducing some concepts that are going to be for our countdown to your best year ever. I was going to get super personal and super deep about some things. And then I realized there are some things about mom that little one doesn't necessarily need to know about just yet. And so I think what we're going to do is we're going to make that a hybrid kind of class. So we're going to have the Thursday night classes, but I think we're also going to have some closed door behind Zoom, private small group classes where we can share some more of the details about that. I can share more details about the mind shifts that I had to make, about the changes in mindset that I had to make, and the changes in self-image, and the changes in even managing my energy, all those kinds of things that I had to make to attain the level of success that I have now. We're going to talk about all those things, but we're probably going to talk about it in a closed group, because as I got going last week, I'm so proud of myself for really kind of calming myself down and not being as energetic as I normally am. And but then it was just like, wait a second. Some things I'm just gonna have to skip. Okay. So we're gonna figure that out. If you are interested in being it, because that's the first time I'm going to be doing this particular content. If you are interested in being part of the beta test for that countdown to your best year ever closed door, okay, then I want you to text me 254-454 HOPE. That's 254-454 HOPE. And you're going to text me the word countdown private group. Okay. Because I've got different people texting me different words, and I don't have an automated responder set up or anything. When you get a response, it's for me. So if you don't get it in the next 5 minutes, it's because I'm teaching this class, right? But you want to go ahead and do that, so I know that you are interested. I'm not going to spam all this information. It's not going out in my mailing list, because this is really it's a new set of content, and it's very personal content. Now, it's not going to be so depressing as some of my past content that I used to just broadcast to everybody, because I think I'm maturing a little bit. But still, it's deep stuff, and I want to know who's hearing that. And of course, you can't control everything that happens in an electronic environment, but you can control a lot of it. Okay, so there's that. I want you all to text me. I'm gonna give you that number again. I'm gonna give you a few moments to get something to write with if you need to. Okay, and that is 254 454 HOPE, HOPE. So that's 44673. I had to think about that one for a second. HOPE. Okay. All right. The last thing I want to talk to you about today, and if nobody else comes on, then this is going to be all of the broadcast, because I honestly did not have anything prepared. And unless something comes to me, or unless somebody drops a question in the chat, and I really feel bad, like if you came on and you're like looking for some great content and I'm just like talking, drop a question in the chat. I would love to answer a question in the chat. Okay. I would love to answer a question in the chat. All right. The next thing that I want to mention, I was going to do Think and Grow Rich, but then this caught my eye. This is a book, and this is my podcast, my broadcast. They're all secular, but I am a person of faith, so faith comes out a lot. So, but I want to highlight this book, not because it's a book of faith, but because this is a book that is given out freely for anybody who wants it. And they mostly give it out at rodeos, because it's written by a rodeo, it's written by a pro rodeo champion, okay? And it's a lot catered to the rodeo world, right? And so what I liked about this is he took his faith, and he took his faith and he packaged God's lessons in a format that's applicable to people who does what he did for a living, right? So this book is catered to people who are in the rodeo space. And not only did he craft this in a way that speaks to the people who do what he was good at doing, but he spoke to enough hearts that they have funding almost in perpetuity to be able to publish this book and give it away. And similarly to the concept of how, let me say that again, similarly to the concept of how we are using this book to fundraise for AI certification scholarships, it speaks something. These books, wait, did I have that upside down? Okay, let me do this again. And I look at this book, okay, and just like with this book is speaking to the rodeo community, and this book is being used to provide AI certification scholarships to primarily women, right? I find an interesting concept in that somebody had to have the resources to make it happen. So somebody has to have the resources to buy an $80 book or donate $1,000 towards the scholarships, or $5,000, as some of the ladies were doing Tuesday night. Somebody has to have the resources to put this book together, get it published, put it out there, distribute it, right? Put it out there and continue. And it's not a thin book, okay? So this is not something that just costs 50 cents at the local printer. But somebody cared enough to forward this work around to the people that need it. And in our lives, we can be that catalyst. And that was one of the things that I got as I was up in Seattle for this Microsoft book launch and signing, and I really thought to myself, we are in a position to change the world. And 10 years ago, some of us were in a position to change the world. And 10 years before that, some of us were in a position to change the world. And 10 years from now, you and I will hopefully be in a position to change the world. I'm coming into my change the world era now that I'm growing connections and having financial resources, relationship resources, energetic resources, spiritual resources in order to do that. However, I didn't just wake up tonight, this morning, any day. I didn't just wake up and decide, you know what? I have been ignoring people all my life. I'm going to start helping people today. I still remember being able to get groups of children to follow me down to the playground, or follow me down to the zoo, or follow me here, or follow me there. Now sometimes we never made it to the swimming pool because my little 7-year-old self didn't realize that a 5-minute drive on car is not the same as a 5-minute walk on little legs, right? But I'll never forget in high school, somebody who had dropped out of high school but went back to get her GED and told me the reason she went back was because I had inspired her. And I had no idea that that was even a quality about me, right? Like, I just liked her. She was just nice, and she was somebody I enjoyed hanging around. And so I considered her a friend. Well, she had lived a life where people had always just made fun of her for her life circumstances, and they were beyond her control. But you know how people are. People will find any reason to put you down because they don't like their lives, and they are not willing to do what it takes to pull themselves up. You pulled yourself up, and so now, rather than pull themselves up with you, they got to tear you down like crabs in a bucket. Ooh, y'all. I said I wasn't going to be negative today, but you know what? You know exactly what that's like. And so with this young lady, all I know is that she was somebody who I got along with. We had fun together. She wasn't trying to change me. I wasn't trying to change her. We went our separate ways. Years later, we met up together again. And she's like, "Aren't you so-and-so?" I'm like, "Yeah, aren't you so-and-so?" And that's when I found out that the Lord had allowed me to change her life, to help motivate her to change her life. And I just, it's just such a special thing. I see that in my oldest. I see that he has in him the energy and the propensity to help people change their lives. Okay. And so when he becomes a multimillionaire, I fully expect that he is going to be helping people change their lives, not only with his energy and his encouragement and motivation, but also with his resources. And so that's why I want to encourage you today to start where you are, because our authentic abundance course, which is basically a study of the science of getting rich by Wallace D. Wattles. Okay, you can actually go out there and find the science of getting rich for free by Wallace D. Wattles. It's a public domain book. Okay, you can find that out there. We study his writing, and one of the things that he says repeatedly throughout his writing is that you start with what you have. And even Thomas Troward in The Spirit of Opulence talks about we start with what we have. We start with what we have and with where we are, and where we have and where we are, as it blesses and sends giving and blessing and value out into the universe. Then what happens is we begin to reap the harvest of abundance in other planes. So maybe you don't have abundance of money today. Well, you have abundance in your spirit. You have abundance of physical health. You have abundance of thought. You have abundance of self-expression. You use those abundances, those forms of you have abundance in relationships. You use those forms of abundance and transmute them into the forms of abundance you don't have by providing value. So when I was $845,000 in debt, I was able to eradicate about 120 of that debt, all the consumer debt. I was able to do that through little side hustles like Avon and Mary Kay and Discovery Kids. And I also did a lot of picking, which I'll describe all those later. I don't necessarily recommend that you go into any MLMs today, but I'll talk about that some other time. Or if somebody drops it in the chat and asks the question, I will give you more information on whichever one you want more information on. Okay. But when I was in that situation, I was able to get out of $120,000 of that consumer debt using those methods. And that was great. That took a couple of years. I was so proud of myself. Yay me. But there was a higher level. And what I quickly discovered is I was able to go to the higher level, not just spiritually, but in the forms of physical and financial abundance by giving people what I had learned about how to get out of debt, what I had learned about how to start a business, what I had learned about investing in real estate. And so through all of that, I was able to give value, and in return, I received money. Now, for a long time, I had a real hard time with this concept of receiving money for helping people. Because when you help people, it should be from the bottom of your heart. It should be altruistic. It should be of your service to the community and your service to the Lord. I absolutely do plenty of giving from the bottom of my heart in my service to the community and my service to the Lord. However, there is still a sense of when I go do what I do in my sphere of financial influence, I am looking to be compensated in ways that fund my efforts to do good in other areas. So, in other words, there's a limit to the good that I can do in and of my own accord and my own resources. But when I expand my availability and I multiply my effectiveness through charging others for my services, now I can take portions of what they give me, whether it's the standard tithe or even more than that. I can take portions of what I receive and I can use those monies to then now do more good, because there's only so much you can do. all of us have a limit. There are 24 hours in a day. And maybe when I was younger, I could live off of 4 hours of sleep, but that still only gave me 20 hours a day to do money-making activities. And as I'm older now, and the neurologist is like, you got to get your 7 hours every night or your brain won't work right. Well, I got to get my 7 hours. So that leaves me what? 17 hours a day to do things other than sleep. Well, if I don't exercise, my brain don't work right. If I don't eat right, my brain don't work right. And eating right requires cooking mostly from scratch. So most of our, not this week, but most of our dinners are from scratch. Not probably, I'd say about half of our meals this last month between football and band and the and me working on my doctorate. I think half of our stuff is just heat and eat, or it's pickup right now. It's just the life right now. I'm getting this dissertation done. We are getting it done, right? But generally speaking, I got to take time to do those things, right? I got a child. I got one in college who needs me less than he used to, but he still needs me. And I got one at home who's at that critical age where he needs mama more than ever. I could choose to ignore that, but then my relationship abundance would suffer. And I'm not willing to do that. So then if you peel back the onion, you peel back the onion, and you peel back the onion, and you're left with is 5 or 6 hours a day to do productive activities that make money, to do productive activities that build the life you want to live, well, what are they going to be? I found for myself that not only did people not appreciate all of my service for free, and please don't hear what I'm not saying. I will always have these Thursday night classes. You have a money question, you do not have to pay my $300 an hour fee. You can drop your money question free every Thursday night. Okay? If you can't be on, you can drop it in the podcast queue. And when I record the next podcast, I will answer your question. That is absolutely 100% free and always will be. Okay. I'll always have that pathway because I remember what it was like to be $845,000 in debt. But people don't appreciate that the way I appreciated it. And when you give too much of yourself for free, there's nothing left for you to recharge with. And so while money is not the be all and end all of life, even the Bible, which warns us about the love of money, right? The love of money being the root of all evil. The same book that warns us about the love of money also tells us that money answers for a whole lot. That's not exact scripture. That is my paraphrase. Money takes care of a whole lot of stuff. It makes a lot of problems go away. It makes a lot of efforts for you to rejuvenate faster, better. So you give and give and give and give and give, but then you have nothing to rejuvenate with, nothing to replenish with. But if you give and give and give and give and then sell, at least you can take the income from what you sold and use that to get things to help replenish, to renew, to recharge yourself. Now, I am making this very, very basic because you might say, well, I can recharge for free. But if you are the personality to give, you probably haven't even put into your calendar blocked off for me. Like I literally had to put into my calendar. Yeah, I'll show you my calendar. Let's see. I'll show you my calendar. I got to make sure I pick a page where other people aren't on. Okay. Well, today's page is crazy. Oh, you can't see all those colors. There you go. Today's page is crazy because I blocked off things like don't get distracted. Do this. But here's the next great idea. So every time I had a great idea, because I knew I was working on filming and editing today, I would put it in here so I wouldn't forget it. Well, let me find one where I've got people. Okay. All right. Here's another good one. Okay. So I've got Next Tuesday, I've got my group coaching on can y'all see those colors? I'm tilting it so y'all can see the colors. So next Tuesday, I've got my group coaching at 11. Yeah, I hope you'll be there. All right. I got noon prayer blocked off. So I make sure I have time for prayer and study. I've got my Ministers Alliance in the morning. On mornings that I don't have Ministers Alliance, I have my workout time blocked off. It's blocked off. It says on not on Tuesdays, because Tuesdays is a fasting day. So I don't work out on fasting days. Okay, that's PNC, so that's a little bit different schedule. But I put on there, exercise. I put on there exercise, pray, and study every morning. Exercise, prayer, and study. So it's blocked off. So you cannot schedule yourself on my calendar during my exercise, prayer, and study time. I have my noon prayer time on there. Our church does noon prayer, and I have my noon prayer time on there. You can't schedule it. Now, if I choose to move my noon prayer because I feel led to do so, well, I'll move it, right? But it's on here. My let me go back to Tuesday, because that has more stuff for y'all to see. Okay, so you see that green there? That's the pick up my son. That's the pick up my son. He is on there every school day that I pick him up. Now, there's one school day I don't, Wednesdays. That's when we do our thing downtown. You can come downtown downtown Stephenville, and you can get your money questions answered. And then we have Bible study that night. So he goes to God's Squad over at First United Methodist, and then my husband picks him up. We have Bible study, and then we go home and do whatever else we do, right? So that's Wednesdays, but every other day he's on there in green. I pick him up. You can no longer, I used to just let people schedule whenever, but you can no longer do that. You know why? Because there's a relationship cost. And when I quantified the relationship cost of picking up my son, back or both boys, back when it was both boys, there was a relationship cost of picking up my son and then driving home or driving them to the next event, talking to a client and having them in the car. Now, when I did my quick chats, we don't talk deep about people's situations, right? Because the quick chats, if you ever book a quick chat, you don't read the fine print. The quick chat is basically when I'm running around town, or if I'm walking, or if I'm doing something else like that you want to book a quick talk with me, but we're not going to be digging all deep into your finances. I'm likely not going to be at my computer during those times. Okay. And so I've got Bible study blocked off. Even on Tuesdays, I have my old Bible study blocked off. You know why I have my old Bible study time blocked off, even though our Bible study locally is on Wednesdays? Because eventually I plan to move back to where, or open up a church where, or some other reason being that I will go back to having church on Tuesdays like the rest of my church, right? And so I will do that. I have it blocked off on my calendar. You can't book yourself on there. You can't do it. Okay. And so for me, I had to learn how to protect that relationship time. And the way I protect my relationship time is by guarding the time that I'm supposed to spend with other people. So then I also guard the time that I have to work on my business. And I charge people for my services during that time. If you want free financial coaching, you can come on Thursday nights. If you're local to Stephenville, you can come on Wednesday afternoons. If you are local to Granbury, you can come visit me every fourth Monday in my office in Granbury. Okay. At the office. But I think it's actually what it's called, is the office. The co-share space is there that Patrick owns, okay, on Pearl Street. Fantastic little place, right? And so if you want free access to me, I have avenues of free access for you. If you want to come, we used to do it at the mall, we would call it Walk in Wealth. You know, we met every Saturday morning. We're getting ready to start that back up. We'll probably start it in spring, right? But we basically had a walking group every Saturday. Okay. And so Walk in Wealth, if you want to ask me any question, you can come. And we used to have big old groups. And then the men started coming. I had to put a stop to that because it was really for ladies. When the men started coming, they started asking all the questions. And I was like, this is defeating the purpose, because we didn't want the male energy coming in. Let's fix everything. And anytime a woman had something to say, you know, he just wanted to come in and fix it for her. No, we just, this was supposed to be fun. Not, it's business, but it was fun. Right. And so we can start wherever we are and make pathways for people. We can start wherever we are and provide value to people. We can start wherever we are and be a blessing to people. We don't have to wait till we're a multimillionaire to begin doing good in our community. Sometimes doing good in our community is the free stuff. Sometimes doing good in our community, when I was $800,000 in debt, was going down to the soup kitchen and helping serve the homeless, helping pass out bus ticket vouchers, helping give out gas vouchers. Okay. You know, those are the kinds of things that I did when I didn't have money to move mountains for people. I still don't have money to move mountains. Let me not misrepresent that. I have money to move piles. How about that? But I still remember the first time where I gave a rather large donation to my son's school. I think he was in 5th or 6th grade. I'm not going to name where we were because he had 8 different schools. So I'm not going to name where we were, but there was one place we had just moved to, and I made like a $500 donation to something, and he ended up winning a prize for it. And then the way that I was responded to set off a light bulb. Bing! Hey, people don't seem to like. I always seemed to get stationed in these places where people didn't like women leaders or they didn't like black people. Not always, but most. Ever since Philip started school, those are the places that we went to. All of his schooling has been in the South, unfortunately, and so um, it's just one of those things. But I found that money speaks, like the Bible says. Money answers for a whole lot of stuff. It doesn't make happiness. It doesn't bring you to heaven. It doesn't make everything okay if your heart is broken, but it really helps a lot of things. And so I made up my mind. I had this moment. Some of you have heard about it. I had this moment where for the 3rd night in a row, I was taking a free client in my place in my church in the Pierre Bossier Mall in Bossier City, across the river from Shreveport. And the 3rd night in a row, my kids are eating pizza for dinner, and they're in the back room of the church playing video games, and they're tired of pizza and video games. And I know for you, it's hard to imagine any child being tired of pizza and video games, right? But my boys, they like their mom, or at least they did. I don't know what's going to happen with the grown one now. He got a life now. I think he still loves his mother, but back then they just loved being with their mom. They loved playing with their mom. They loved talking with their mom. They loved doing things with their mom. Yes, pizza and video games was great, but pizza and video games without mom 3 nights in a row was not great. And I realized these people aren't even paying me enough to buy them pizza, and they're not doing what I'm teaching them. It'd have been different if these people were making changes in their lives, but the ladies that I was seeing, they weren't applying. They were at that 2 to 3 month mark where they're like, yeah, I don't want to keep doing this. This is too hard. I want to take the easy road out. I want to take a payday loan, or I want to do this. And they don't realize that the easy road out is actually the harder road long term. Because see, when we're in our situations, we are not thinking strategically. A lot of times if we were thinking strategically, our eyes open up and we see all these different options. But when we're in our situations, we think very narrow-mindedly. We look at our current situation. I don't have any gas in my car. And we focus on getting gas to the car so we can sleep in the car overnight, rather than thinking about how if I take some of that money and I go over here, I can go over here and apply for a job, and I can get an outfit that works for the job, and I can pay for a shower at the truck stop, and I can be clean for the job interview, and I'll get a job that'll allow me to get a place to live. But we don't think long term like that, because right now we're just focused on the next tank of gas. We're just focused on the next problem that popped up. We're playing whack-a-mole with our problems. Here's a busted taillight over here. Here's a crying baby over there. Oh, this skirt is ripped. Let me sew it up. We're so busy looking at the right here that we're not making decisions according to our purpose anymore. We're not making decisions according to the long-term value that we want to have, the long-term life that we want to live, the long-term ability to do good that we've been called to. We're so just focused on the right here and the right now. And I realized these people have hit the wall of she's asking me to think strategically, and I just want to hit the next whack-a-mole and take a breather. I want to hit what looks like the easy button, even though it's going to cause me a problem later. That's a problem to deal with later. And so what I was finding with my free clients is, I actually find it with even my paid clients. A lot of them fall off about 2 to 3 months. If I can get somebody past 3 to 4 months, then that's when we start to see the real actual change. Like if I can get now I'm not saying 3 or 4 months and we're still working on step 1. Step 1 is get clear about what you need to do, what you want to do. If I can't get you clear on step 1, you can be with me working on step 1 for 20 months, for 3 years. If we can't get clear on that, it's not going to work. I'll take your money. I'll sit with you. I'll be a shining light and an energetic presence in your life to help push you forward, help motivate you forward. But if we got to walk through the stages and get to, okay, stage 1, what do you want out of life? Stage 2, what are we working with? Get that spend plan together. Stage 3, now we're doing the dirty work. Do that dirty work for a couple months. And if I can get you through a couple months of doing the dirty work and you start to see the benefits, well, then now I got you. Okay. And now I know it's going to work for you. But too many of us, we lose sight of what's going to possibility long-term be good for us because we're just so focused on what's here, what's right now. Okay, because my thing blanked out. Not everybody who shows up to your free stuff is just looking right here and now and can't see strategic. I came to your free stuff. It wasn't your free stuff. It was somebody like you, but I went to somebody's free stuff. I went to free real estate training after free real estate training. I went to free financial training after free financial training. And I implemented what I learned, and I'm the one out of like 100, maybe 500 that actually did something with it. And so even though I still offer free, I know that most people that come in aren't going to change off of free. So why would I even tell any entrepreneur? Hold on, before I say that, let me say hi. Hi, Dennis. Why would I tell any entrepreneur to still offer stuff for free? Well, offering stuff for free really does help. It helps you get some social proof. It helps you understand what resonates and doesn't resonate with an audience. Like, especially for me as a professional speaker, I have this weird thing. Like, I think this story is amazing. And then I deliver it to the audience and it just falls flat. And so then I'm like, huh. And then there'll be something else that I'm just casually talking about. And the whole room will be like, And I'll be like, ooh, what did I just say? Whatever got that, whatever got that out of them, I need to put that in my talk. Because it got a response. It got the response that made them think and say, whoa. And that's the response that I want when people are, in my talk. Or I'll say something I don't even think it was funny, and then everybody's rolling. I'm like, ooh, what did I just say? Because I need to put that in my talk. Because there's times in a talk where you want people to laugh, especially me. I talk about heavy stuff. I talk about heavy stuff. I talk about finances and not having them. I talk about all the systems in place to keep you poor. I talk about being told I couldn't do physics at the Air Force Academy because I was Black. I talk about going into places, even just 10 years ago where there's still white doors and black doors. Like, I talk about heavy stuff. After a while, I want you to laugh a little. I want you to have a little hope. I want you to have a little bit of excitement and a little bit of levity to break up the heavy, right? And so I'm like, ooh. So giving things for free is good for that. Giving things for free is good when you don't have a name. Like, you just moved to a new town and you need to get your name out there. That's part of the hustle, right? And that hustle, admittedly, is easier to do in different markets. Okay. So in some markets, like when I was in the DC area, I'm not sure what it's like now, because everybody that would come to one of my courses, well, they've been furloughed. Most people, when I was stationed in the DC area, they call it the DMV, DC, Maryland, and Virginia, that little enclave there. Most people that I knew up there, they had their day job was usually for the government. Then they had a side hustle, maybe a side job. Maybe they did Uber. Maybe they did deliveries or whatever. Maybe they were UPS or something like that. I guess now it would be Amazon and Favor or Uber Eats or whatever. But they did some little side job. They usually had a business, 2 or 3 businesses, and a nonprofit. Everybody got a side hustle and a nonprofit in the DMV. And so I would put a class out there, and I priced it about $200 a pop, and they would just fill up. And I liked that. I really liked that. I liked knowing I could fill up a class and make money. It was like shaking the trees. You know how some people talk about shaking their mailing list for money? I would shake the trees and I would get money, and they would feel like they got a good benefit over on me, and I would feel like I got a good benefit from them. So it was a win-win, right? Well, then I moved to Louisiana, and let me tell you something about Louisiana. You don't put out a $200 class in Louisiana when don't nobody know you and ain't nobody ever heard of you before, and you don't have kin there. That's not how Louisiana works. Okay. If you got a big name, that's one thing. If you come from a good family, that's another thing. If you got an amazing skill set, that's another thing. But I didn't have none of that. And so I feel like Louisiana prepared me for Texas, for rural Texas, because rural Texas is even more so. We need to know your kin back 5 generations before we're going to take you seriously. And so I offering free things is a great way to break into new markets. It's a great way to understand what your locality is looking for. Maybe you've been working with veterans all these years. And so you think, okay, I'm just going to go to the police. Well, I did the Citizens Police Academy, and I discovered there were some differences, some very important differences in the life of law enforcement versus the life of the military. And me, I thought it was all the same thing. It's really not all the same thing, especially since being in the military, if you're stationed in your home, if you're in your home base, your garrison, you're not worried about getting shot that night. Like I go to work, I plan on coming home. I go to work, my wife, not my wife, but my husband, my wife, my kids, our spouses, our families expect us to come home, right? But if you're in law enforcement, especially if you're out on the streets, they don't know. And that's different. And a lot of other different things. And I said, oh, this is a whole culture that I don't necessarily understand. So I had to take some more time to get to know the culture of law enforcement and the struggles and the different things that they have before I could offer my solutions to the city of Shreveport to be able to help make things better for the first responders. Okay. Because I had great John Maxwell training to offer, but if it doesn't meet the need, then it's a waste of their time. They don't have time to waste. Okay. And so I really enjoyed my time working with the city of Shreveport to bring that content out to our first responders and to a lot of the city workers. I don't know what you call it, the people that work in city government. Like federal workers are the people that work for the USA government, and then you have your state level, where you also have your city level people. And I don't know what you call them, but I enjoyed working with them because they were so much fun, and they had such amazing stories and so many very down to earth people who were doing amazing things once you got to know them beneath the surface, right? And so doing things that are free can help you get into that and understand your market better and build connections with people who can then refer you. But then you have to have a clear pathway, because one of the problems I had when I first transitioned from free financial planning to fee-based financial planning. So I went from free financial planning and financial coaching to fee-based financial planning and financial coaching. Well, guess who all my referrals were? They were people who received free services and said to their friends, hey, this lady helped me get out of debt and she's free. This lady helped me buy my first house and she's free. This lady taught me how to invest and she didn't charge me anything. So everybody came to me with the expectation that I wasn't going to charge them. And then, oh my goodness, y'all. So the first time I was in DC, that's when I started doing some business, but it wasn't a business. It wasn't until the second time I went into DC and they had this thing called sequestration where they like cut people's pay and they didn't work. Oh, you mean like, kind of like what's happening right now? Yeah. So I got a sense that Uncle Sam was not reliable the way other people thought he was reliable, and that them good government jobs weren't so good and weren't so consistent and weren't so stable. Kind of like now. Ooh. And so I said, ooh, fool me once, shame on me. Shame on you. Let me say that again. Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. I was not going to let Uncle Sam do this to me again. So in 2013, I set about the path to change from a free thing to a fee-based thing. But I had already been teaching fee-based classes. So the foreclosure class, I had also been doing a financial peace university, which back then you could do it for, they could pay for it, or you could offer it for free. Like I keep that material. Look, I know Ramsey Solutions has changed, but I have it in black and white. You can copy this and give it to anybody as long as you're not charging it. I'm like, I am never throwing this away. Because there are times when I do need to serve in that capacity, right? And they need the worksheets and the things like that. And I probably should just make my own, honestly. I really should. Okay, that's a tasker for me to do after the doctorate, right? But I had just made that transition, and so then I had to have a transition method. I had to have a transition method. Now, I have talked about the value ladder where you step people up from free to like $9 to 19 to 39 to 79 to 99 to blah 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 blah. Like we talked about that on a previous recording. So you can go out to my YouTube channel at JJ Knows the Way and you can find that. Search for value ladder, I think is what we titled it, and you'll be able to find that live broadcast where we went through all that. It's probably by now even been broken down into its own podcast, so you might be able to search it on Ladies of Wealth as well. But I did just discover, I discovered like 70 something podcasts that never got published because of copyright issues with the music. So the music I bought for my podcast, I bought it in 2019. But somebody came along in 2021, took that music, made their own AI version of it, and then they went around giving copyright hits to anybody who used that music, that baseline music. So it's been a couple years of struggle for me to it's been about a year and a half, 2 years of struggle for me to try to find the license to that music, because all of the places where you go to get that music, all of them had switched to a subscription model. So your license was no longer valid without a subscription model. And the company that bought it for me, from what I understand, I'm not 100%. I don't understand all the things. I'm gonna be honest with you. There are some things I just trust the people that are experts. Okay, and from what I understand is they used the music they got from one of these sources back in the day, and times have changed. And so they had to do some machinations or what have you. So I could prove that I had access to this music before the guy says I used his music that was copyright 2021, right? So whatever. So now we're going to push those out. So if you are subscribed to me, you are going to see a whole lot of old episodes. You're going to be like, I remember this. She's talking about 2023. Why is she talking about 2023? Well, if you go back and look at my podcast, you'll notice there was a whole lot of stuff that didn't get pushed. It's all live streams. It didn't get pushed to YouTube. And if it did, it was like excerpts and shorts. It wasn't the full podcast episode. And now you know why. Well, now that I think we've got that straightened out, we should be pushing those episodes out soon, because people, they were out there live, but people want their interviews and they want all that stuff with the fanciness of the titles and the music and all that stuff. And so we want to get all of that out. But yeah, I did discover that. And so there is that as well that's going to come out. But anyway, going back to talking about the fee to free thing. I think I distracted myself a little bit there. You can go back out there and hopefully that wasn't one of the ones that was affected by the copyright issues. Hopefully it's out there. If it's not out there, you can look for it in the lives. When you go to YouTube, I wish it would just show. I wish you could click a button and see everything chronologically, but they don't do that. All right. But you can go click on lives and it'll show you all the lives for like the last however many years. And almost every Thursday is a live. We split those Thursdays up to become the podcast. Sometimes we record individual podcasts with interviews and things. But for the most part, the podcasts are the Thursday night classes split up into chunks. Okay. And so you can go out there and look for Value Ladder. It walks people through those stages. Okay. I'm not going to go through all that today because it's a whole lesson in and of itself. But if you have been doing things for free and you need to make some money off of what you're doing, you're going to have to provide a pathway. And usually if people have been used to getting things for free, you have to accept the fact that they are probably not going to pay you now. Now, some of them who love you and they've gotten so much value from you and they want to support your business, they are ride or dies. They will roll with you. Okay. And in fact, my very first client, she was buying my stuff until maybe about a year ago. And she comes to the coaching classes, from I shouldn't say she's my very first client. Let me rephrase that. the first person who ever bought one of my real estate classes. Let me say it that way. She participated in Financial Peace University, and then we did a follow-on. It was the first time I thought real estate investing, and she participated in that. She had been buying my stuff. So that was before I even became a real business. She had been buying my stuff for like, almost 15 years. And now she's launched out on her own. And I think she's saving, right. And I mean, I probably told her to do this. She's saving her coins and pouring them into growing her own business. She's doing a fantastic job. I'm super, super proud of her. But most people didn't do that. Most people did not come along with me on the free to fee journey. A lot of people fell off the wagon when they weren't getting the free stuff anymore. But I have a handful of people who took the free stuff and did like I did with somebody else's free stuff. They actually implemented it and they used it. And then when I started growing, they started growing, I started growing, and eventually we all grow. And the people that really utilized the information, they did one of two things. They either came alongside me and bought into what I was buying, or they went off and created their own and I don't want to say didn't need me anymore, but I hadn't evolved yet to be at a level high enough to do anything more for them, because for a long time I didn't understand the concept of the leadership lid. And the leadership lid that John Maxwell talks about is simply this: wherever you are on your leadership travel, wherever you are on your leadership journey, that's as far as you go. That's also as far as your people go. So if I'm here and this is the extent of my leadership and the extent of my abundance and the extent of my ability, and people coming with me, that's where they stop. In order for the people under me to go higher, I got to lift my leadership lid so they can lift theirs and so that they can grow. And if I'm not continually growing, they can't continually grow. And they have one of two choices: be happy being where they are, which is, I want you to be content where you are, but that doesn't necessarily mean being happy about it, right? Or they go somewhere else where they can go higher. And so I lost a few clients that way. But I'm telling you, it doesn't make it wrong to start charging people. Let me take a quick drink. It's not wrong to start charging people just because people fall off. Keep a free pathway somewhere so you can keep free people engaged, okay? But then begin offering the paid. And what you'll find over time is some people who are in that free group will see your consistent paid clients, and they'll see your consistent paid success, and eventually they'll jump in on something. You got to make sure you deliver. Like I had one client, oh my goodness, I pray for her often because I feel like she got a bad rap, and I don't even know if she still listens to me. I know from time to time she'll comment on something I do on Facebook, but I don't know if she still listens to these or listens to the podcast. So if you're listening to the podcast, it'll be an excerpt from our Thursday night class. I encourage you to come to our Thursday night classes and be live and ask your questions live. And in fact, while I'm getting ready to tell the story, if you have a question, drop it in the chat now, because I'm going to tell this story. I'm going to finish talking about moving from free to fee, and then we're going to be done. Okay. And so this young lady, she had come to my Bible study for a while. And then life happened. I got pregnant, and I basically transitioned my Bible study to somebody else because I had really bad prego brain. Like not to the extent of the car accident, but like some people just have different impacts. Like with my oldest, I was sick all the time. With my youngest, I was strong as an ox, healthy as an ox, but I was just a little flighty. Can we just say it that way? I was forgetful about things. I would mean to do this, and then I wouldn't do that. And then I was, tired more. I think because I was older. I don't know. All right. But the thing was, I could see that even once the baby was born, now I'm pregnant. My husband's in another state. I never intended to have children again. I threw all the kid stuff out when I married him because I thought he couldn't have kids. He has a stepson from his previous marriage, but I didn't think he could have kids. So I got rid of all the baby stuff. I literally came home from the honeymoon. He went back to Texas. I went back to Virginia, and I threw out all the stuff. Because it was like, when I didn't throw it out, I gave it away. Because like, I'm not gonna need this. So then 3 months later, he comes home from spring break, and I get pregnant. And so I transitioned to Bible study. That's what I was really talking about. I transitioned to Bible study, and I don't see her for maybe a year. And she had a Facebook profile. You know how most people have a Facebook profile picture that's older and that's younger and thinner than they are? She had the opposite. She had a Facebook profile picture. No, it wasn't Facebook. I'm sorry. It was, because I don't think it wasn't Facebook. It was Meetup. It was Meetup. She had come to some of my meetups. That's what it was. She had come to some of my Bible study meetups, and then life happened and I transitioned that group to somebody else. And then I had the baby, and then I petitioned the Air Force to move me closer to my husband. So I got orders. And so I'm having this birthday / going away party. And all I have seen from her was her Meetup and Facebook profiles, but Meetup was how we met. And her picture was a chubbier, looked older version of who this person who shows up to my party is. And so she's trying to get into my party. And because it's most of the saints, she doesn't exactly look like she belongs there. And I didn't recognize her because this person trying to come into the party and the person's not letting them in is much younger and slimmer than the person I was interacting with online. And as soon as so I go, the ladies are like, it looks like that person is with us because she's holding a gift bag. And so I go to say hi to her and just find out what's going on. And as soon as she said her name, I realized who she was. Well, I hadn't seen her in person in so long. I didn't make the connection until at that moment. And so we ushered her in, but I felt bad. Well, she stayed on my list for like years. And then one day she bought something. And it was like $29 or $39. It wasn't a big expensive thing, but I know for her, it probably was a huge leap to have bought it. And it wasn't my best work. Now, I thought it was okay for the price point. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm gonna be honest with you. For $29, I am not paying somebody $500 to edit it. Like, I'm probably going to edit it. I might pay my kid $20 to edit it, but we're not putting a whole lot of this is going to sound so bad. We're not putting a whole lot of bells and whistles on a $29 product or a $9 product or a $19 product unless I get like 100 sales. And then I take the money I made from it, and then we might go back and re-edit it. Like I'm not doing it today, but there'll be sometimes where I'll be like, okay, it's $3 to get the workbook to tonight's lesson, and you'll get this lesson too. I'm editing that. That is not an efficient use of my time. At $3, you're getting a workbook, you're getting a PDF workbook, and you're getting this recording. It's $3 of my time just to upload the video into the system so that it can be sent to you. Now, if I got 1,000 people buy it, then I'll be like, ooh, we're onto something here. Let's go ahead and clean that up a little bit, and then we're going to repackage it at a higher price. But I'm not. And so and the sad part, this is such a sad part. That particular class, it was a good class. The concepts are good. The reason this story is so fresh, and I realize it just took forever to tell the story, so I'm gonna have to learn how to shorten my stories. But the reason that this story is to the forefront of my mind is because I was going through my old content, looking at what I can use as a baseline for a new project, because I know I have projects that were never really polished, and I knew I had something somewhere, and I came across this one, and this one wasn't it wasn't what I was looking for the need at hand, but when I found it, I was like, wow, this actually was pretty good. And it brought to my mind that this person who had been free for like 5 years bought something, and then she was like, it wasn't any good. It was good. It was great for the price, but it wasn't in the portal when she bought it, because somebody messed up and put it in the wrong place. And so I was like, no, she finally bought something and I ruined it. All right, forgive me, y'all. I may need to go take care of something real quick. Okay, he says he's okay. All right. And so even after she got it, I think the damage had been done. I don't think she's bought anything from me since. And I don't blame her, right? So when you do have that free crowd and they finally buy something, you need to make sure that whatever they buy is worth it. Okay? And so, but even after she got it, she's like, well, this really isn't your best work. And I'm like, well, no, it isn't my best work, but it's not bad for the price. And the cool thing about it is me doing that particular class was too much. It was too much theory. It was too much for people. It was just too much for them. It was the kind of thing that I like, but you don't sell to what you like. You sell to what people need. Okay. You sell to what they will receive. And I had just threw too much at them. That led to the 28 days to financial freedom, which is how I got about half of my current subscribers. That loss leader, whenever I spoke, it's a $99 class, but whenever I spoke at an event. Okay. All right. So I was telling the story. I had to have a little conversation with my little one there. I was telling the story about this client that she was never a client, but she was somebody that came to my Bible studies, my singles groups, my birthday party / going away party. And then she finally bought something and it was a mess. And the mess that was that class actually led to one of the best products I've ever put together, which I'm in the process of rebuilding because we moved to a new system. And I mean, every time I turn around, Teachable changes their stuff. So like one moment you can have a free plan, and the next moment everything has to be paid. One moment it's $39 a month, the next moment it's $100 a month, and it's like there's no consistency. So I want to get all of my clients off of that so that they can access their courses. And so with that, I'm glad for the interaction with her not being good. She was the only person that bought the class, and it wasn't good by her standards. It wasn't good by most people's standards. I thought it was okay for the price, but the customer feedback told me I was wrong. Okay. And so you want to make sure when you have a free pathway like that, when you have a lot of free people and you start creating paid pathways, you want to make sure that when your free people jump into your paid pathways, that you are proactive about making sure that what they paid for is what they were expecting and what they got. Now, you can't always guarantee that. Because like I said, everybody wants an easy button. Well, an easy button doesn't come at $29. This lady did not want an easy button. She's a hard worker. Okay. But a lot of people come to me. I had one person come to me and they even paid $199. Back then my hourly rate was $199. We sat down together and she was like, well, yeah, I want to make a lot of wealth, but I don't want to make phone calls. I don't want to do emails. I don't want to do list building. I was like, well, I can't help you. Because this late in life, you're not going to be a multimillionaire without doing all that. Now, if we could rewind the clock 40 years and you could invest $200 a month, $100 a month for 40 years, for 50 years, for 60 years, we can do that. But you and I can't do that. Most of you watching me, if you're old, if you're, maybe if you're 30, you can do okay investing a couple hundred a month. And when you're 18, you can get away with $100 a month. Put that in the market and don't touch it till you're 65. You'll be a multimillionaire, right? But those with us with a few more decades, we don't get easy street because we partied our money away or played around when we were kids. It don't work like that. We needed to have been disciplined back then. Now we got to work harder. You know how they say it's play now, pay later, or pay now, play later, or play now, pay later. Some of us played back then, we got paid for it now. Some of us we paid back then, we put in our money in the market, and we're able to play more now. Okay, it's unfortunate, but the later you wait, the harder you got to work. I don't have an easy button when it comes to money. You could win the lottery. I mean, you could, but hope is not a strategy in my book. Okay. So, if you did win the lottery, I hope I've equipped you with the financial skills not to lose all your money by this time next year. But most people who know about money consider the lottery a poor tax. Why? Because the poor are the ones who consistently buy lottery tickets. And it really makes me sad in states where the lottery is used to help fund education. Because if you're a person who doesn't play the lottery, then you think it's a great thing. But the people who are benefiting the most from the lottery when it comes to education are actually upper middle class, who are getting the lottery money for their children to go to school, while the poor people who buy lottery tickets with great regularity are the ones that are funding the lottery that pays for the upper middle class kids to go to school. It would pay for their kids to go to school too, but never mind. That's a whole nother discussion. We will not do that today. We are talking about moving from free to fee. Okay. So let me see if I can quantify what I've just said in a couple of pithy little bullets here. Okay. First of all, it's okay to use free when you're getting started, and it's okay to continue having a free avenue even after you've made it big, especially if you have a I shouldn't say sob story, but what I really meant to say was like a rags to riches, except that I don't feel like I'm in the richest category yet, but you have that hard knock life, or you have those humble beginnings. Let's say it that way. You have humble beginnings. Okay. So one, it's okay to start off. I am stumbling on my words again. One, it's okay to start off free. If that's where you've got to start to build the social equity, get experience. I wanted to give them, not what they wanted to receive or what they were willing to pay for. That's a whole lesson right there. Two, once you start having fees, it's okay to still have a free avenue for the people that are maybe like you used to be, especially if you have those humble beginnings where it didn't matter how great somebody's $1,000 class was, you weren't ever going to be able to afford to take it. So maybe you create a pathway to help continue offering your product or your service to the community at a discount or a free cost. Maybe you do like I do. I teach a free class Thursday nights. I have my free afternoons, Wealth Building Wednesdays in Stephenville, and Money Monday nights in Granbury every fourth Monday. All right. So maybe you have something like that is a free service that the community can take advantage of if they can't afford your regular rates while you're building your fee-based business. Okay. The third thing we want to understand is in moving from free to fee, we have to make sure we create a pathway and a value ladder. And you can find out more information on that when you go to my YouTube channel and you look up the live on building a value ladder. Okay. When you do that, out of every customer you have, if you have customers that were back with you in the free days and they buy something now that you're charging for it, make sure you reach out to them and find out if that product really met their needs. You can't always control that because people still want what they want, and they're not always buying your product or your service, understanding what you can give them or what you offer. They hope it'll be an easy button, or they hope it'll be a nice cloak they can put on to stop the rain in their lives, and they don't realize that you're not an umbrella, you're gloves, right? So that doesn't always, so you can't always match expectations that they're looking for, but you at least follow up with them because of their longevity, and you make sure that as best as you can that you have met their expectations, or you adjust how you present the product so that the expectations are managed for future buyers, okay? Then comes the question of, how do we determine how much we want to charge? How do we determine what's reasonable to charge? How do we determine what's fair to charge? I'll be honest with you. What I teach people, it would be fair for me to charge $5,000 a session. You know, I have sessions where I fly out to somebody and we spend all day working on their finances. You know, we might go to lunch or something, and we'll work on what they're doing. I should be charging $5,000 for that. I should be charging $10,000 for that. The content and the quality of what I'm offering is way above that. But it's something new that I'm stepping into, so I'm not charging that high of a fee for that yet. I will one day. That's the goal. The goal is 20,000. That's my goal for that package. Is that'll ultimately be 20,000. 20,000 for a day. And I even have a week-long business thing. Like, if you want me to come in and you want me to bring in certain types of training for your business, we have a whole John Maxwell base, and with leadership, communication, inclusion, all that kind of stuff, as well as intergenerational. Like, I have a whole, it's like a 1 week thing, and that's also priced out at 20,000 a day, right? But I could be charging people that for the financial workshops, the Women's Wealth Matrix workshops, but I'm not doing that right now. Why? Because it's new. I'm charging enough to make it worth my while to leave my family for a day and come be with you for a day, right? But I'm not charging you what it should be, because it's something new, and I want to get more people into it, and I want to get testimonials, and I want to get people having results in their lives. You know, I don't want to just be a flash in the pan. You know, I want to be a long-term sustained fire, okay? And so sometimes you have to figure out what to charge. My big thing is just pick a number. Pick one, you know, pick one, and then find a place where you can advertise it. Now, you may have to pay for that, but if you do some research to find out what kind of people want what you have to offer, and then pay to go in and give your pitch, then over time you'll get to know, again, what is really working for people. I'll never forget, I was a paid member of Maria, and every day before every meeting, it's a monthly meeting for real estate. And every month before the meeting starts, you can get up and give your pitch, whether it's for your business or whether you have a property or you're a trade. If you are a paid member, you can get up and give your pitch. And also, I think it was BWI Real Estate Group. I can't remember if I did one in Sherman Ragland's group, because I don't think I know I was a gold member at one time, but I don't think I was when I could actually get to his meetings to use the membership. I think I used it to get the online stuff, right? But those different meetings, they all had a thing where if you were paid at a certain tier, you could get up and talk. And that's what I would do, because I had already paid for the membership anyway. So I would get up and I would give it, and I would start saying things, and whatever sales pitch worked with the audience, I would do more of it, you know? And I got booked full for financial tune-ups. Got booked full, and I just picked the price. I didn't know what to charge. You know, you can learn what to charge by researching what other people in your field do, and then comparing what people in your community do. You know, like, so if I look at what, like, you know, oh man, what's Tiffany the Budgetnista? Man, what's her last name? If I was to go and look at some of these big name financial speakers, Dave Ramsey, Susie Orman, the Budgetnista, you know, all these big financial speakers, and I look and see what they're charging. Okay, well, that's what they're charging, but can they charge that where I live? Do I need to drop it down or increase it? Or do I have the credentials and the experience to command those kinds of fees, or do I decrease them? You evaluate all of that. But honestly, if you don't know what, then just pick a number. $49. Pick a number and roll with it and see what the market does. You pick a number, get a result, and then adjust the number based on the result. And I picked $29. I got up for a couple months. I got up at all those real estate meetings that would let me, and I would advertise my financial fix-ups or financial tune-ups. I forget what it was, but let's call it a financial tune-up. $29. Y'all, some of you have heard this, but I think it's still important to share. $29 for a 1 hour appointment. No, a 90-minute appointment. $29 for a 90-minute appointment. It was going to take me at least an hour to research your situation and put together the recommendations and put them in the nice little slide so that, if we were in person, I could slide it across the desk to you. Or if we were online, I could show it to you on the screen. Like, I was getting paid less than minimum wage, y'all. And I did not get into business to make less than minimum wage. I could have worked at Starbucks for that. I could have worked at Walmart for that. I could have worked at Ulta for that. Well, Ulta didn't exist back then, not anywhere I lived. But you know what I'm saying. I didn't need to open up my own business for it to become a job. You know what they say a job is, right? Job, just over broke. Yeah. I was never going to make any money charging $29 for a financial fix-it, financial tune-up. So I raised my price, and I raised my price, and I raised my price, and I raised my price. And I raised my price until I hit the sweet spot where people stopped paying the higher price, but I was making lots of money. And the unfortunate thing for a lot of us is we only find the sweet spot once we go past it. So these have lines on it, but hopefully it'll work, right? So at $29, I had a ton of clients. Okay, at $29, I had a ton of clients. At $49, I had a ton of clients. My schedule was booked, steady booked. I had less clients, but still a lot of them. My schedule was fully booked. I had no time for my kid. I was at football practice with my earbuds in, having a phone consult. One time I felt so bad. I still want to reach out to these people, but then I kind of don't want to bring up bad memories. But one time the Cubs game had changed, or my husband had changed the tickets. Like, something happened. We were going to a Cubs game, and then something happened. That game got canceled, and now we were going back to it again. But it was my fault that we didn't go to the first one. And so now we're going to the second one. And I had a client that had already been moved once. And now we had rescheduled for this day of this Cubs game. And it was a miscommunication between me and my husband what time we needed to be there. And so now I'm at the Cubs game, and I'm literally having this financial consult in the bathroom at the Baltimore Orioles stadium while my husband is waiting for me to get back before the first pitch. I don't even remember if the Cubs lost or won that day. All I know is I lost a client because I did the absolute best I could locked in that bathroom. It was the family bathroom. I did the absolute best I could trying to have that session with them, and people are banging on the door trying to get in and stuff. And I just felt like I'm crouched as far away from the door as I possibly can to try to minimize. And this was before smartphones, right? So this isn't the noise canceling with the elite headsets that I have, the earbuds that I have that take away a lot of the bad noises and background noise. No, this was the old fashioned flip phone and me sitting over in the corner, but still, that person who never paid me again, notwithstanding, my schedule was still very full. And then I went to I think I went to 79, and then I went to 99. And again, my prices began to raise, and then my schedule began to have less clients. I had less clients, but I was making more money because now I'm charging $199. So there I was charging $199. Okay. And then I kept going higher. And I think in that market, I think I got to $249. And then when I tried to do $2.99, it went too far down. Okay. It went too far down. Okay. So this is the number of clients at these price points. Okay. But number of clients did not equal profit. Okay. So I'm going to draw. This is not mathematically exact. This is just a graphic representation. Okay. A graphic representation of, let me make that a little higher there, of my profits at each of these price points. Okay. Okay. So, and I think I may have tried to go up a little higher. So I didn't write the prices there. So I'm gonna make that one $2.79, and then I know when I by the time I got to 300, $2.99. I know by then my business dropped off really good. Okay, so here, if we just do a rough fit curve, okay, if we just do a rough fit curve, okay, what we find is overworked, no free time, not making much money, but I got a lot of clients. Overworked, not making much money per client, but I got a ton of clients. Okay, but I'm still not making that much. It's not feeling worth it because I'm neglecting my family, okay, to do this because I'm just trying to get business in. And so I keep raising my prices. And honestly, that's the first thing. If you feel like your business is overwhelmed and you're overloaded and you feel like you don't have, I don't know why my thing is not focusing here with that's the first thing. That's the first thing I recommend. If you feel like you are overwhelmed in your business and you've got too many clients, the very first thing I'm going to recommend you do is raise your price. Raise your price. Raise your price. Oh, I know. I don't have room for it on here. I got coached by somebody said, I want everybody to double their price right now. And I was like, ooh, but it was an assignment and I don't want to come back and not do it. So I changed my price to $5.99. Y'all, I got nobody. I was just like, but it was a result. I did what the mentor said to do. And then I lowered my prices back. Okay. So I'm raising I'm raising my price. I'm lowering the amount of clients, but I'm increasing my profit. Okay. I'm increasing my profit. And then I get to the point where I raise my price so much that the profit starts to drop because now my clients are even further down, but I'm not making as much money. I'm making more money per client, but my clients are so far down that I'm not making more. And so, and that $5.99, that was like a straight drop, right? This right here is the sweet spot. This is where your business needs to be for you to make the money that you want to make. Okay. And this is different for everybody's business. Now, some of these things you can and can't control. If you do hair, you only have X amount of clients you can take in a week. Okay. There's only so many heads of hair you can do on your hair. If you have nails, you have only so many slots that you can offer nail services. Okay. Now you might be able to do one of those businesses that sells the little strippies or whatever, but that's not the same as doing somebody's nails for them. Okay. And so some of those, you're kind of limited by what it is you do to how many you can do it. Like I really don't want she does an amazing job on the lashes. I don't know if y'all can tell that I have lashes in today because I don't have mascara on. So, I don't know if y'all can tell I have on lashes. I asked her to make them not very obvious, right? Just a little something so that it makes me feel like I'm kind of done without having to work so hard because I got practically no lashes anymore now that I'm getting older. So she's amazing, Mia. I shouldn't tell you that. I shouldn't tell you that she works at the Hairless Cat downtown in Stephenville because I really don't want you to overload her schedule. You already have to book her 3 weeks out. Oh, why did I tell y'all that? Because I want to give her a shout out, right? Morgan, same spot, does my hair. Lexi, same spot. Man, those, you know what? Nina and them getting a lot of my business. Look, I need to just go all in and get all the services they have. But I'm a little I'll stick with the hair and the lashes and the nails for now. We'll do the other stuff some other time. I'm getting a little older now. I don't even know if it's worth it. Oh, this conversation is taking a crazy turn. Anyway, I don't want my lash professional. I don't know what Mia would call herself. I don't want her working on two lashes at the same time, right? Like as a client, I don't want her doing that, right? And then y'all, now some of y'all have been to those hair shops, like you're at the hair shop all day, where you're at the hair shop all day because they're working on foreheads at the same time, and then they put you in that dryer forever. I remember the first time I went to a different kind of hair shop where I was in and out in an hour and they worked on my head the whole time, flat ironed it out, and with that brush and the hair dryer, and then topped it off with a curling iron. I was like, who knew hair could be like this, right? This is going to be different for everybody. But even if you have limited amount of time in your schedule, even if you have a limited amount of time in your schedule, you could still apply the concept to find where your sweet spot is. So if you can only work 4 hours a day because you need time to rest your wrists between clients, well, you can figure out where the balance of your pricing is by playing around with your pricing. Please don't play around with your pricing when I get in there unless you're going to drop it, okay? Because you know what? It's so funny. A lot of times when people follow my advice, then they outprice themselves from what I'm willing to pay. That's how I know it works, y'all. Okay. Anyway, you want to find the sweet spot, and that takes time, trial, and effort. And then it's not the same for every market. So I moved from the DC area where classes were like $200 a pop easy, and I liked easy. I wanted to know that class was going to be filled up. So I didn't. Once I found a good sweet spot for my classes, I didn't mess around with it because I wasn't a big name. Like if I was a bigger name, I could have probably charged $500 a pop, but I wasn't a big name, and I was still making $200 a seat. Oh yeah, and filling up all 40 seats, all day long, rinse and repeat, as long as you're giving value, right? But then I moved to Louisiana, and my coaching, which had peaked out at $249, ain't nobody was buying financial coaching from a black girl ain't nobody ever heard of before in Shreveport, Louisiana. They were not doing that. Now, if I'd been a big name, I might have been able to carry a higher price. But you know what the sweet spot I ended up falling on in Louisiana was about $25. Y'all, it almost wasn't even enough to make me get out of bed. I had to change how I did business because I already told y'all my experience at 29. After all the research and everything that I did, feeling like I was making less than minimum wage. I wasn't trying to do that again, but I needed to get business. I needed to get people to know me, to like me and trust me. So I had to change how I did business. So it did not take me so much longer to prepare for the sessions. And the cool thing about getting experience, which you get when you offer things for free, the cool thing you get about experience is when you sit down with me, if you have filled out your paperwork for our financial coaching, it doesn't take me but a few minutes to take a look at it and figure out 5 or 6 things that we can already do right off the bat that can save you hundreds of dollars. Right off the bat. I'm going to save you $500, $600, $700 right off the bat in that session. And then if we continue to work together, it gets even better and better and better. We find ways to cut costs here and increase income there. So you have to figure out what to do, because I don't want anybody in here starting a business and working for less than minimum wage unless it's your initial startup period. And then I want you to set a time and a date, a place by which you are going to be making profit in your business. If you're just starting out and nobody knows you, then yeah, maybe for 6 months you're not making any profit. But after a year, you at least should have $1. Like that book. Oh, where is it? Do I have it here? Profit First. That book, Profit First. I love the premise, because if you keep not having a profit, then the IRS does not call that a business. They call it a hobby, right? And so you have to have some kind of profit. But what so many of us do is, maybe let's just say, maybe your family, you have $100 of spending cash a month, or maybe you have $1,000 of spending cash a month that you don't have to talk to your spouse about. Your business is flailing. So you pull out your spending walking cash and you use it on your business. And then you get, you have $500 of walking cash. You put it into advertising or doing whatever for your business, and you make 2 clients who each pay you $75. And you're like, yay, I made $150. Woohoo. And you're like, I made 150. No, you didn't make 150. You know what you did? You made a negative 350. You did not profit. You had a net loss. Am I mad at you for having a net loss in month 1, 2, 3, 4, or maybe even 5 or 6 in business, depending on your business? No. But if you're coaching, if you are doing anything that has no overhead, you don't need an office, you don't need anything but your internet connection and your personality. Now I'm gonna need you to do better. I'm gonna need you to take a look at your business numbers and make sure that you are profiting before anything else. If you are and I do this in my business all the time, and it's the worst, y'all. It is the worst feeling in the world to call up a vendor that I have used. No, it's not. You know what the worst feeling in the world was when I was $800,000 in debt and I had to call up my creditors and be like, yeah, I know I make $100,000 a year as a major in the Air Force in a high cost of living area, but I'm broke and I cannot afford to pay this bill. That was the worst feeling in the world. But a close runner-up is like, hey, I just want to let you know my business has come on some hard times. The economy's changed, this, that, and the other, whatever, what have you. A lot of businesses, I'm almost done, honey. A lot of businesses are really feeling it right now because the climate that we're in precludes them from getting the government contracts that they used to get, or being able to deliver their services to certain people because those people have been let go unnecessarily. And it's just a tough time for a lot of people in business. But I practice what I preach. And so I had to make some tough calls. I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to do this. And I'm not going to do that. And having to make those phone calls and be like, you know what? We've been working together for a long, long time. And I intend to work with you again. But for now, we're going to have to pause on this and pause on that. I hated it. But you know what I really liked? I liked sending my taxes for my last year's taxes to my CPA, thewealthbuildingcpa.com, by the way, Abarakoya. She's amazing. So go ahead. If you need a CPA, she's your gal. All right. She's licensed in all the states. All right. But for me, being able to send her that and be like, oh my goodness, I lost about half of my income last year. Like my income just dropped. And I was like, but you know what else dropped? My expenses. But now if you're in the flooring business, you're in this business, you're in that business, your overhead might be higher. You may not be able to get a profit right away, but that's why we have savings. That's why we look at ways to tighten the family belt so that you can make up for it. We look at all those strategies in helping you get your business off the ground. Okay. But we're going on year 3, 4, and 5, and you haven't made a profit. I'm going to tell you right now, it is time for Walmart. It is time to call in the reinforcements and get a job at Walmart or HEB or UPS or any place that's hiring that will allow you to get your feet back under you again and build up your savings so that you can pursue this dream. And you may have to tweak the dream. Just like I had to tweak my business when I moved. You may have to tweak the dream. I'm not telling you let go of the dream. You may have to tweak the dream. My business is changing. Everybody's business is changing. The world is changing. AI is changing things. The economy is changing things. Things are changing. You got to change with it. Okay. And if you're trying to go from free to fee in this current today's environment, it might be a little artificially tough, but you can still do it. Okay. So let's review what we've covered because my little one desperately wants some snuggles from mama because he should have been asleep an hour ago. And I told him it was going to be a short class. And then I got all excited talking about this concept and now I've made it long. It's okay to be free. It's okay to offer stuff for free. It helps you get experience. It helps you learn the audience. It helps you understand where your products resonate, where your services resonate. When you go to fee, expect that people are going to drop off. Create a pathway to lead them from free to fee, but expect that a lot of them are going to drop off. Those who don't drop off, make sure you are giving them a little extra care and feeding because you want to make sure that you haven't lost your voice or your genuineness or that you have not stopped providing what they are expecting. I think a lot of people go through that as they grow. I know I went through a season of that where I thought I was doing things and I wasn't doing them. I thought I was uploading things and I wasn't uploading that. And and I'm not sure how this will break out in the podcast. So if you're listening to me as part of the Ladies of Wealth podcast and you didn't hear the story about that in this episode, then go back to the previous episode or the one before that, and you'll hear the story of the young lady who came to a lot of my free stuff and then finally bought something, and I totally disappointed her. Okay. When you're so you want to make sure that you're offering a little extra care and feeding to the people who are with you, who for free, who came along for fee, because that's not the normal mindset. That's somebody who really is devoted to you. They really appreciate you. They're loyal to you, and you want to nurture and feed them and care for them, because that they took their money out of their pocket and they gave it to you, when in the past they just came and ate for free at the table. Okay. You want to find the sweet spot in your business. All right. That's number 4. You want to find the sweet spot in your business. And that's going to take some playing around. So we don't want to get our feelings hurt by that. Okay. If I'd have started at 99 and nobody really bought into it because they didn't know who I was yet, well, that's not for me to get personally hurt. Don't take it personal. It's business, not personal. Just drop the price or add more value. Those are the only 2 things you can do. Drop the price or add more value. And sometimes, we didn't talk about this yet, but I'm going to talk about it now. Sometimes adding more value means bringing in other people who have value. And that's where collaborations, like what we put together at some of these conferences, that's where those collaborations are really so important. Okay. And then the last thing that I wanted to mention on going from free to fee is, whatever you find that works, always be on the lookout for things that change and can affect your income, change and affect your status, change and affect your value that you're offering. Right now, the economy is what it is. People aren't valuing some of this esoteric stuff the way they are. They're going after the easy get rich quick stuff. I don't teach get rich quick with money. I teach get rich right. Okay. And so, yes, you could get wealthy if you work hard and you follow what I teach, you could be financially independent in as little as 3 years. If you get in your feels like me and go out shopping and do things that are detrimental to your financial future sometimes, because you feel, like it just helps, a little retail therapy isn't that bad. Well, then or you have kids or something that take a lot of money right now. Well, then you may need more time. But it is absolutely possible. See, people don't come to me for a 3-year solution. They want the easy button tomorrow. Okay. And so you have to understand that. And then the last thing I want to talk to you about charging, I did talk about, so that was number 4. Wait a second. We should have had 5 by now. I added 1. We had 4, but I added 1. And number 5 was going to be to make sure. Oh dear, give me a second. I got distracted by the little one moving there, and then I lost my train of thought. Going from fee to free. I know what my last point is going to be. Okay, well, I don't remember it, and actually, I think I've lost track, so I don't even know if I'm at number 5. I should have asked y'all to put it in the chat for me. But the big thing that I really want to make sure we end with on going from free to fee is this: when you start making money, do not make the mistake that everybody else makes, thinking that money is going to come. Oh, I had my first $20,000 month, so I can expect to only up from here. It's $20,000 to $50,000 to $30,000 every month from now on. Yay, I hope that happens. It may not. Or you might be in a situation like I was in a situation with one business venture that I started off. I had so much business when I launched because it was springtime and there was a lot of business leading up to Easter. And what I didn't realize is after Easter, dropped off until about Christmas time. And so I was so devastated. And I thought, oh no, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? I had to learn my business cycle. Now, I had to learn my business cycle. Had I learned my business cycle, I would have realized that the business cycle for that venture was Easter and Christmas. Easter and Christmas, nothing in between. Easter, a little bit of weddings, and Christmas. Okay? And I would have spent my money and saved my money accordingly. Okay? If you work in a lot of the, like your flooring or your roofing or your things like that, Christmas to like March, nothing. I don't know what it is for stylists or beauty or anything like that, because people are vain all year long. But I imagine that, like holidays is probably high, June is probably high, graduations are probably high, like special event types of things, Mother's Day is probably high. I don't know. I don't remember what it is. I know I've worked with enough people in different business things that I have notes in that drawer down there. So like when you come work with me, I flip through and find a client that did what you did, and I pull out whatever business plan we did for them. But you have to figure out your own business cycles to understand that, okay, this month I made $5,000, but next month I might only make 3, and next month after that I might make nothing, and that's normal. So then what you do is when you make the $5,000 month, you don't spend all that money right away unless you've already budgeted it out that that's what you're going to do, okay? And so I really wanted you to understand that. There was another point I wanted to make about going from free to fee, but I can't remember it. And my little one, really, he says he's not feeling well. So I'm just going to have to go. If I think about it, I'll make a follow-on video and put the link in the chat or something like that. And if you really enjoyed this content, I don't have any questions in the chat, so we're going to go. But if you really enjoyed this content, I would love to get your feedback. Go out to ladiesofwealth.com. You can either leave your feedback typing, or there's a little blue microphone that you can click on, and you can just talk whatever it is you want to leave me feedback on, or ask a question, or if you want to be on the podcast, any of that kind of stuff. You can do it all there at ladiesofwealth.com/contact. Okay. And I'd really love to hear your feedback and what we've talked about tonight that you would like to learn more about, so that I could dig more deeply into it. But seeing no questions in there right now, that's all I've got for you today. Y'all take care and be blessed.